Welcome to my Mythic Rastakhan guide. Now, this is not a hard fight, to be honest with you. Bosses 4, 5, and 6, Opulence Conclave and Rastakhan, are a step harder than the first three, but overall, they're really not that bad. So for this fight, I recommend 5 healers and 3 tanks. 3 tanks makes this extremely easier. You can definitely do it with 2 tanks, but if you 2 tank it, you have to worry about transitioning timing. You have to worry about if one tank dies or the timing's bad. It's just a wipe. Using 3 tanks makes this a million times easier. So we use 3 tanks. This is mainly for phase 2, when you have to tank Blom Samdi and Rastakhan at the same time. You put 2 tanks, which you'll see on Blom Samdi, and then you put the 1 tank with a lot of mobility on Rastakhan. So on the pull, what you want to do is get all 3 of these grouped up. Um, I don't actually tank any of these. I'm going to be the Rastakhan boss because I have the mobility to get around faster. So I'm going to let them pick it up, and we're going to AoE them down together. And then I'm going to pick up Rastakhan and also bring it on top of the group. So when you start slow walking, you just taunt and throw like a Faru brand, or if you're not a DH, you do whatever your range abilities is, just taunt and then hit him with something. So as soon as he breaks loose, he just runs over. No, so first thing, Meteor Leap is going to go off now. Everybody just runs it and soaks it. Everybody. It's not worth risking anybody dying. It's an easy ability to just soak. So here, the Headhunter should die first. In Mythic, the Headhunter will put axes on 3 people that have to be topped off to get rid of the debuff. But it should die by the time the second set of axes get thrown. So right here's the second set, and it dies. So I'm the Scorching Detonation tank, so I'm going to jump over here, knowing that the boss will be over here after the first totem spawns. So I'm going to burn him out, run it over. For some reason that prelate was with me, or prelate, how do you pronounce that? Normally he isn't, he shouldn't be here, but I guess I was just doing too much damage. So the serpent totem should be spawning, and everybody's going to rotate over to the other side of the room. So there it is. So we just don't deal with it, you just come over here. Now, ideally, if you can do it, you want to kill both the prelate and the headhunter near each other, and then the siegebreaker away from both of those. But based on our timings, we have one ad over here, one ad over here, and that's okay. The idea is, as long as the siegebreaker is away from everybody else, you want to CC the other 2. So the frogs, just 5 of them now, and they do a lot of damage. So as the second Scorching Detonation goes off, the Meteor Leap comes in. Now this is important to know because if you have any frog debuffs or debuffs from the totem, people can die. So I jump way out. Everybody should be grouping up. Oh, this situation. Oh, yeah. If you're quick enough when he jumps, you can actually get out of it with, like, say, Blink or Warlock Teleport or um, any of those quick moving abilities, Fell Rush, you can actually dodge it by yourself. However, you're going to see this Warlock messes up and gets splat. So for learning purposes, it's probably not worth doing it because it's just easy to soak. So phase 2 starts when all 3 ads die. Keep in mind we pulled the Siegebreaker away from the other ads, and he dies over here. Since we're 3 tanking, when we kill these ads does not matter. If you're 2 tanking, you need to kill those ads with a good timing period so that the Scorching debuff and the, I think it's Death Caress, will overlap so you can do a swap. And it's real pain to pull off. It's just easier to simply 3 tank it. Now I do want to point out though, because it'd be bad if I don't say this, um, Pallies are really good at solo tanking Bomb Samdi if you have a Pally tank. Um, Especially if you have shamans with your res totem. If you don't have a Pally tank, you can still use a shaman or 2 with a res totem. Basically, you know when the tank's going to die, you drop the shaman res totem. He dies, takes the res instantly, and taunts it right back and keeps going. You would only do that if you're 2 tanking. But again, you can negate all that shenanigans and not worry about any of it if you just 3 tank it. So here is phase 2. Now, the zombie dust totem will mind control 2 people instead of 1. And it has so much HP that it's probably going to mind control people twice. At the moment, we're using one shaman. Because we're only using one shaman, shoot. The Earthshake totem. I can't remember the name of it now. I can't believe I'm blanking on this. However, if you use it next to mind control people, it breaks them out of mind control. Since we only have one every other totem, we only use it when there is a melee mind control because the melee can get killed easily from passive cleave. With that being said, um, raid makeup, I didn't mention this. You want 9 range DPS and only 3 melee, especially on the first progression kill. If you're looking for the easiest raid comp, is 9 range, 3 melee, 3 tanks, 5 healers. So, with that being said, for the mind control totems, the probability of melee being picked is actually really low. So we save the totem for when melee are picked. And then you can see he should get broken out soon. Yeah, right there. And then you just focus down this totem. All damage. So at this point, I'm going to jump out and take a look at positioning over here. You can tank him over here, over there. It's up to you. But we have 2 tanks switching. And then we have 1 healer switching with the tank. Just alternating back and forth to keep these tanks alive. Now, the detonation tank can die when he has detonation. Oh, that's really bad. With melee being picked. So I can grip them and I think they get sheeped and they stay a sheep for a little bit. Yeah. So at this point, it's just rinse and repeat. Dark, or what they call the doors. Let me show you how we do the death doors. I think I need a different camera angle first though. Plague of Fire, make sure you spread out. It instantly jumps to people. So if you get it, you just have to make sure you position properly. I think it's like a 1.25 second, or no. Crap, I can't remember what it was. It's a really short jump time. So, alright, so over here, death doors. Let me show you this. We make like a little box. Basically, we drop all 4 death doors in this box shape over here in front of the door. This protects the ranged DPS from getting hit by the orbs in phase 2 by standing in between all 4 death doors. If they stand here, they're completely immune to all balls that are traveling around, and they can just straight nuke the boss. The hardest part of this entire fight is simply getting out of phase 2 alive. Once you get out of phase 2 alive, it's a kill, unless you do something crazy. So I'll talk more about it here in a second. I'm just going to jump out. You want to see the mod controls, but it's PvP durations with DR, so they can't stay sheeped or anything for long periods of time. At all times, range should always be spread out at all times. So you don't see stuff like that where people are, the debuffs jumping around. So this is just rinse and repeat. You will get about 4 to 5 death doors before you push. Healers will have to go inside the circle to heal the tank, by the way. I also try to jump away from the boss in between so healers have time to get me topped off. Yeah, this is the melee problem. You have to just do your best to mitigate that type of debuff spreading. So the boss pushes at 60%, so we just pushed into phase 3 now. So what should happen are groups 3 and 4 right now are ranged DPS and 1 healer. We send 1 Resto Shaman down with 9 ranged DPS. The goal is them to get out of phase 2 as quickly as possible. It's very imperative. So they go down together. We have debuff drop order downstairs. So we have 5 groups. Each group has 2 people. And we have a ranged DPS down there calling it out. Group 1, drop your debuff. Group 2, drop your debuff. Group 3, and if you have more than 5, 6, like 10 stacks, you're going to start dying easily downstairs. So it is key that you call those out in a good order. That way, your ranged DPS doesn't die. Now, you have to also be careful because the top requires so much healing that you're not dropping them too fast, killing the people upstairs. So at this point, groups 3 and 4 will run and stand next to Bomb Somni's death circle over here. And the tanks have to take the Warlock gateways to get out, and healers have to get out. So as you see, groups 3 and 4 are standing near the edge, so they're picked to go downstairs. And since I'm jumping out, I'm not going to try to get close. And if you do it right, groups 3 and 4, or however you set yours up, goes downstairs. There's been a lot of times in the fight where we had people accidentally go downstairs. You never want that to happen. So in phase 3 upstairs, what you want to do is you want to tank the Phantom of Rage next to Rastakhan, but you only cleave on him. If you kill any of these ghosts in phase 3, they go downstairs to the Death Realm. So if your ranged group is downstairs and you kill them, they appear downstairs and just wipe out your two groups downstairs. You never want to kill these ads at all until they're back upstairs. So what we do is we CC 2 of them and we off tank the other one. Now the CC only lasts for 1 minute. After that 1 minute is up, they're immune to all CC. So we CC them for 1 minute, and then once it breaks, we group them all up for cleave damage. My dog goes nuts behind me. Downstairs, I don't have the footage, and I apologize. All you do is you stand in between all 4 of the death doors and you just nuke. When your group is called, you run into a death door and you run back. By hitting the death door, you drop your debuff. When you do it, you hit the raid for a lot of damage. Now, when Bomb Somebody does Inevitable End downstairs, all groups just stop, turn, and run up against the door. And you just run into the door until he's done, and then you run back into position. If you don't do that, if you allow him to pull you into a door, it's kind of a funny chain reaction if you get pulled into a door, because then everybody explodes and everybody's dead. So when he does it, you just turn and you run into the door. And that's all they do downstairs. So at this point, the key is to just do as much damage to Rastakhan as possible, get him as low as possible. Dodge the necrotic smash. So CC is breaking in 3 seconds. We just group everything up. So just group everything up so we can passively cleave. Make sure you're interrupting the grave cast, and then you have to soak the puddles, the 3 puddles when they come up. Grave bolts right there need to be interrupted as much as you can. With 3 tanks, it makes this even easier. Right here is the 3 soaks. You have to soak it or people will die. So if you can get through this phase right here with everybody alive, it's almost guaranteed a win. The only way for you to lose is if somebody throws it. Downstairs just came up, and now we bloodlust up top, and then we just nuke the ads. By the way, when the people are downstairs in the death realm, they bloodlust down there as well. They need to get back up as soon as possible. So now we bloodlust, and you just finish off all the ads as quickly as we can. So inevitable end at this point, you just run away. I was too close, I had to jump out. We lost 2 people because they were focusing on the ads instead of on the cast. But at this point, it's kind of a freebie. So you just gotta kill him before he kills you. You alternate on Scorching Detonations. You keep dropping the death doors on the outside of the room. And you dodge the frogs. And this does get a little crazy near the end because there's a lot of death doors. And if you're missing like 5-6 people going into this phase, he gets increasing stacks, which makes him do more damage, and it just becomes almost impossible to deal with. Trying to be careful not to jump into balls. So the key is to run away as soon as possible. The closer you are, the more damage you take. So, speed totem here is nice. As you can see, all these death doors is gonna look crazy. So we should be moving him away from there. I don't know if we do. Watching it in my head, I'm like, we need to move him. Okay, I did. All right. So people tend to drop death doors right where you are. So you want to just move them to where there's less death doors to deal with. That we have more time to react to the balls and dodge the balls. With this fire debuff, it was a very bad spread there. You want to make sure you're already pre-spread. Like, and honestly, this is really it. The hardest phase is phase 3. Phase 1 will take you a few pulls to get down and not die too. Phase 2, if you 3 tank, is all about knowing when the tank's to switch. And then phase 3 is you have to get the range group with 9 range DPS out of that phase as quickly as possible. And if you can do that, it's an easy win. This last phase is just dodge balls, DPS balls. As I run through balls. As I jump into fire. And run through more balls. And that's that. That's Keen Rastakhan. The fight in and of itself is actually easier. Once you get the basic mechanics and a couple of transitions worked out, it's not a bad fight. It's not a hard fight. It just takes a few pulls to get down. So if you have any questions, please leave in the comments, and thank you for watching.